Oh,
I think a beer has more than 4 claws. If you look at that picture in the white, it looks like there's only 4.
So what did Rafal say? Rafal said it's a human?
well, because the steps, there were footprints leaving the house on the porch that were clearly looked like human steps.
So what, you
Whatever.
think it's like anti-Semitism?
I
Doesn't
think
a
it's called.
gargoyle have three fingers? Maybe it's a gargoyle.
I'm not going to mention names, but I think Stroyle's up there with his family.
You think someone broke in?
yeah.
What's that thing on the floor? Is that a hand?
I don't know what that is. Trying to figure that out.
It's a 3-fingered footprint.
That's a body part?
Body part? No, they
Liner.
trashed the whole fridge. Honestly, did you guys watch the video?
Yeah.
Yes,
just
I
saw
saw
it.
the video.
I just
The
saw the video.
freezer is
Animal.
all body parts, Liner. In that freezer, you see the picture of the freezer? Those are different body parts.
No,
See,
I
there's
meant
a
on the
toy.
floor.
You see, there's
What
a
do you think
toy in
happened
front
to
of
the
the
country?
freezer. You see, there's a toy in front of the freezer. An animal didn't schlep a toy to climb into the freezer. I don't think.
Yaakov, I think you should daven inside the Mishmedrash from now on.
Maybe.
It looks like someone went to the bathroom on the floor.
It's not
Yeah, I was
bathroom,
gonna
it's
ask.
food from the.
Liner,
What are those
Jacob
two
Baldwin,
big
man.
brown smudges?
I don't know.
Were you?
Anyways.
Was the stuff in the freezer defrosted?
No, because how long could it have been? I was only gone for 2 hours.
I don't know.
First of all, you're assuming that the toy was there to get into the freezer, but it could be that the animal was roughing along and the toy was there and it slid by the fridge.
No, we don't have any little kids anymore in the family.
There's a stroller over there.
Right, that was another thing that a kid put in.
Uh-huh.
Okay, whatever. We can do this to this is not with the Daf and not in like what do we call it? And we could do CSI Kanyanga Lake another time.
Yaakov, I say none of the guys in this year really sound like they're forensic scientists. I mean,
Let's say, Yaakov, this is why your father had guns in the country.
Now you're talking. Yeah. Anyways, okay, let's go. Yeah.
That's terrible.
It wasn't just the country.
What?
It wasn't just the
little
country
kids?
that he had it.
We don't shoot little kids. No, whatever. Anyway.
What was he saying?
Okay, let's
That's
go.
why he had guns in the country?
Well, that's for people breaking in. You know what I mean?
Gershon, just let it go, Gershon. You missed it.
Okay, talk to Mishna, yeah?
Gerson's in an open carry state. He's all right.
By the way, Simon, I meant to text you. You missed another challah on the dead baby Gemara.
I got a text from Naftali Liner last night, and then like 2 or 3 people mentioned it as soon as I hopped on tonight. You know, I mentioned once that it's weird that to move a dead body, the Gemara says put a baby on top of it, and all of a sudden I'm the dead baby guy.
Listen, it defines you now. It's you. You got to stick with it.
I guess. What I'll
Now you need a tattoo.
Well, you know.
Embrace it.
Yeah. Well, I'm
Yeah.
already. Yeah. Whatever. Whatever makes y'all happy, you know.
No, why?
Okay, dead baby.
All right, let's go. Yeah, Zok the Mishnah. Yeah. Kufmem Gimel on base. There's bug spray on the over the fleshik sink. Can you bring it to me? Okay. Beis Shamai Yomrim, Zok the Mishnah. Beis Shamai Yomrim Avirin. There's a lot of practical halacha in these next couple of blocks. Yeah. So Beis Shamai Yomrim Avirin me'ala shulchan atzamas uklipin. You can take off the table bones.
Where did you leave off? I'm sorry.
Mishnah Kufmem Gimel Amud Aleph. Yeah. Anyway, so Beshamer Mavir Me'ala Shulchan Atzamas Uklipin. You can take off the table bones and klipas. How do you call a klipa? And Chassidish here, klipas. Shells. Thank you, shells. Yeah. Right. So I mean, you can just take it off. So I'm a masalikas a tabla kula umanara. You're allowed to. What you do is you don't move them directly. You shake the table, or the table, the board that's on top of the table, and therefore you're moving the muktza like we've been discussing. You're not moving the muktza directly, right? Also, you're allowed to remove, or you do remove from the table little crumbs less than a kezayis. V'seir shel afunin, v'seir adoshim, and it's what do you call it? The hair literally means hair, right? but it means the outside of lentils and beans.
The husk.
What do you say?
The husk.
Pods. I don't know how you get to pods from Seir.
Husks. Husk.
Maybe. Mipnei shehu Michael, not on the Mipnei shehu Michael behema, right? Because it's considered a Michael behema. What are you laughing at, Perek? Yeah.
I'm just,
Okay.
I'm hoping that Gemara doesn't get wet.
Right, because it's a Michael behema. Okay, fine, thank you. Svug, a spun, now total different subject. Svug, a sponge. And yeshlei or beis achiza, if it has a handle, if it has a handle on it, right? Meaning if you have a sponge and you hold the sponge, you can end up squeezing it. So that's a problem, right? So, but if it has a handle on it, then you're allowed to use it to wipe things down. And if not, then you're not allowed to wipe it down because we're afraid you're going to squeeze it. Either way, you're allowed to take it on Shabbos, and it's not makabel tumah. So Rashi says it's talking about when it's dry. If it's wet, how can you take it on Shabbos? Whether if it doesn't have a handle, you're going to take the sponge, you're going to end up squeezing it out. Yeah. So Amar of Nachman, anu ein lanu ela Shamai kirib. Yeah. Amar of Nachman, anu ein lanu ela Shamai kirib Yehuda v'sil kirib Shimon. Basically, the pshat is, remember we said Rabbi Yehuda is the one that holds a muktza. Rabbi Shimon doesn't hold the muktza. So Beis Hillel, Beis Shamai is saying like Rabbi Yehuda, right? Therefore, you're not allowed to handle anything, right? And Beis Hillel is Rabbi Shimon. Rabbi Hillel holds like Rabbi Shimon, right? Meaning the Gemara is saying he has obviously a different girsa. I say I don't know exactly understand this. Sounds like he had a different girsa because according to our Gemara, Beis Shammai is the one that says you're allowed to move the muktza with your hand. Beis Hillel says you knock it off with the table, right? So that sounds like Beis Hillel is the one that has a problem with muktza and Beis Shammai doesn't. So Rav Nachman is saying that we have the opposite shot in the Mishna, right? Therefore it's Beis Shammai is like Rabbi Yehuda, Beis Hillel is like Rav Shimon, so it's obviously switched. Either way, what's interesting though is we paskin, and that's the way we paskin that way. Meaning we hold that if you take, what's the most practical application of this? You eat, peanuts on the table or sunflower seeds, right? So if you do like in Eretz Yisrael, you just spit it on the floor by the bus stop. Okay, so obviously there's no muktza over there. But when you put it on your table, how do you get rid of it? Right? So I think, as far as I know, everybody just takes the seeds and moves them off the table. That's muktza. Right? So we're going to have to see in the Gemara why it is that we're able to do that. But the Maisa, it's muktza. Right? So Beis Shammai says you can just move it. Beis Hillel says not. Right? Normally we pass like Beis Hillel. So the Gemara switches the shitas. It says Beis Hillel is the one that says you can remove it. Beis Shammai says not. Fine. You're allowed to remove crumbs. This is actually a scary Gemara. Perurin that don't have a kezayis, you're not allowed to make them. You're not allowed to actively go and make them get lost, right? Meaning, so that's by saying mavirin milafnei shulchan perurin. So that's what it's saying, that you're not allowed to take it and throw it in the garbage. You can move it off and then work from there, right? You just put it on today. Is it different today? Why should it be different today?
Because you go into a supermarket, you see 753 different kinds of breadcrumbs. They have chashivas.
So what are you saying then?
Back then they had no chashivas. It was muktza machmas kufay.
Right. So it's muktza machmas kufay. You mean so
Back
you're saying
then,
what?
There
You're
was
saying
no chashivas.
Saying now breadcrumbs that has a chashivas?
Yeah, there's expensive breadcrumbs even.
Gershi, it's two separate things. You don't make schnitzel with the breadcrumbs left over from Shabbos challah. It's two separate things.
Why not? Some people do that.
Well,
Some people do.
No, the breadcrumbs from Shabbos challah. I'm saying, if you have some challah left over and you dry it out or bake it out and then make breadcrumbs, it's a different story. But you don't.
I'm not so sure it should make a difference.
You don't know.
Yaakov, I don't know which family was this, from the Sofa and Stern families. from the generation before them, when I used to eat as a bacher, one of the bubbas, one of the families saved all the crumbs from Shabbos table, from all the 3 sudas, and put them in a jar. And when she filled up the jar, she made challah kugel. She saved every crumb every week. She made challah kugel from it.
And that was als Frumkeit?
No, Shabbos Kodesh. To have something, not to throw away something from Shabbos Kodesh.
Nowadays, they were mavatal that due to COVID.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah, but I think most people, the crumbs on their table are garbage.
Wait, Yaakov, does that make an ounce of difference? The second case of the Mishnah, where it talks about Seir Afunin and Seir Adoshin, he's not using them for Michael Behema. They are Michael Behema, so they're not muktza. He's throwing them out.
Yeah, so what are you saying?
Breadcrumbs are chashuv. They're not garbage. Breadcrumbs are breadcrumbs. Doesn't matter that I want to throw these out. They have chashivas. It's breadcrumbs.
Yeah. I don't know what to tell you. I don't know. But here's not an issue of muktza. I think this is just an issue of throwing out good food. No?
What if it's less than a kezayis, you're allowed to throw it out.
What? No, he's saying that's the chiddush of the Gemara. What? She'ein men kezayis asur la'avdon biyad.
Biyad. In general or not on Shabbos, he's saying?
What?
He's saying not on Shabbos? I thought this is muktza for Shabbos.
No, it's saying no. Ma'avir perun she'ein men kezayis asur la'avdon biyad. Why? No, it's not into muktza.
They're
No.
garbage.
No, it's so what? You're not allowed to while it's destroying food. Nothing to do with muktza. That's why I'm understanding it. I mean, it's a big machlokes Rashi Taisus how to understand this, but it's a food situation.
I don't really
not
understand Rashi. I saw Rashi. Rashi says it's also because Machal Behema. The next case is Machal Behema's mutter.
Yeah. Yeah. Anyways, okay, whatever. That's what the Gemara is talking about. It's referring to, I think. Anyways, okay, let's see about the Seir Shalafunin, right? So what do you call this? Pods, right? Pods that go around the things. So who is this? Mani Reb Shimon, he did less le muktza. So the reason why you're allowed to move them because there's not muktza, because it's going to Reb Shimon. Ema say for spug, right? A sponge. If it has a handle on it, you can wipe something down with it. That must be according to Rabbi Yehuda. Why? And again, the same Gemara that we've had many, many times. Right? Must be Rabbi Yehuda holds davar she'ein mischaven. Meaning, when you take the sponge and you're trying to wipe something down, your intention is not to squeeze out from it, but we're afraid that it's going to happen anyway. So it's saying it's aser. Reb Shimon has no issue with that, right? Reb Shimon holds davar she'ein mischaven is mutter. Right, so therefore the sefer must be Rabbi Yehuda, but we just said the reisha is Reb Shimon. So then the Gemara says because you're not interested in squeezing out the sponge. You're just trying to wipe something down. You don't want to squeeze it out. Trust me, I just did it for an hour and a half. I just did it for an hour and a half on the floor. You're just wiping stuff up. Maybe that's taka, as in Yonat the Yom, right? So you're wiping things up. You don't want to squeeze it out there. I wanted to squeeze it out in the sink. I mean, when I was cleaning it up, I didn't want to squeeze it.
So it's mamish loy. It's not a.
It might be nichale because you might want the water. You might want the water to come out of it.
I want the water out. That's chita.
You may be happy. It depends if it's wet. It's pre-wet. But anyway, so the Gemara is saying so it's eina mischaven, and so it means the reisha is Reb Shimon, the sefer is Reb Yehuda. So then the Gemara says no. I feel Reb Shimon Maida. Here even Reb Shimon's Maida. Why? Right? It's a psik reisha v'lo yamos. And it's going to automatically happen. Now, I'm not so sure why it's for sure going to happen. Why is it that if I use a sponge, the Gemara is assuming you use a sponge without a handle, it's automatically going to get squeezed out.
You have to grab it. You have to grab the shmata.
Is he saying so it's automatically going to squeeze something out?
Yeah.
I hear it probably depends how wet it is, no?
Yeah, it's only if it's full.
Right, l'chayra. Okay, but that's what it's saying. Fine. So now, hani garina de timri aramaisa. These seeds from the or pits from what do you call it? From armisa, right?
Yeah.
Sharu l'tatuli. It's you're mutter for you to take it, right? Why is it not muktza? Right? Hayel b'chazin agav iman. Since they're roy to be moved because it literally means they're mothers, but because the dates themselves are not the actual date is not muksa, right? Uda parsaisa aser, but from Paras, from Persia, then that's aser. They're not allowed to move them, right? Because it's not what do you call it? So because they were meant for people to eat, and therefore it's not going to be muksa. I mean, it is going to be muksa. Yeah, Shmuel metaltalu agav rifta. But Shmuel, the way he took it, right, at least Simon, you're getting a little bread here. What he did with his seeds, he would stick them on top of bread and then move the bread. So that's how he would remove the pits. I don't even say. I keep saying seeds. It means he removes the pits. Okay, fine. Sharnam shafaz simin. Right. So this is a simin, right, of because there's going to be 7 different ways of 7 amiroim. So these are the first letters of each one of how they removed pits, what they did with pit removal on Shabbos. So Shmuel tamei, Tamar Shmuel, Isa Adam Kol Tzar Pass. A person can do whatever he wants with pass, right? So that's the Shmuel that we just got finished saying, that a person is allowed to use bread for whatever it is that he needs, and it's not a bizayon to the bread. So therefore, he can take his pits and spit it out there. 1 second, he can take the pits and put it on top of the bread. What do you want to say?
You were able to do that instead of the baby, by the way. In that Gemara, it was talked about a loaf of bread or...
No, because here you're using the bread as the non-muksa.
But I'm saying
right?
it's a vehicle to let the muksa move. So even if the pits were muksa, then bread already has become that vehicle. Just like if there's a body and you had to move the body, you could put
right. That's exactly
the bread on top of it too, right?
Correct. Yeah, 100%. Cool. When you could say bread has multiple, you could do multiple things with bread. you see what you got. You got a lot of options, right? That's one way. Rabah mataltalu agav lakna demaya. Rabah, the way he took his seeds or his pits, he would put into a bucket of water, right? And the water wasn't muksa, so therefore he was able to move the bucket. Rav Huna breder Rav Yeshua avid luki graf sharei. He just looked at it like a graf sharei, which is that it was disgusting. He had a pile of seeds, right? And it's disgusting to have a pile of seeds or pits sitting there, so you move it. Are you allowed to make a graf sharei lechatchila? I mean, you can't purposely make a graf sharei. Meaning a graf sharei is garbage or excrement or anything like that. So even though it's muksa, you're allowed to move it. What are you saying?
What's the shaila? You're going to make a graf sharei?
He's making a graf sharei.
What did he do? He just piled up the pits. He ate them. The Garinim seeds are you making a graf sharei? It's
but what he's doing
that you ate.
Right, but to go and put them in a place that's going to require you to have to move them, right? Don't do that. Go sit. This is why I think they sit in the bus stop. I don't know if that's why, but it would be very nice if that's why. They go sit in the bus stops because they spit it on the bus stop. They don't have to clean it up, right? But to sit by your dining room table and spit it on your dining room table, now you have...
If you throw something in the garbage, you're making graf sharei.
Correct, but you don't have to remove it.
Sure you do it.
Oh, no. It's starting to rain. Yeah. I hope the service inside. What a winner of a dike. Okay, hold on. Okay, I'll stand in the doorway. Yeah, so what are you saying? But that's a graf sharei, but you're making a graf. But you're not moving it when you put it into the garbage, no?
You're moving the garbage out when it gets full.
That happens later.
But you made a graf sharei.
You did make a graf. Yeah, but what I'm saying, he's saying that how do you ever throw out? Meaning your garbage, you should always have to take your garbage and throw it out outside.
Right.
Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
I hear. I don't know. I hear. Now I tell you, what the poskim do say is that when you're peeling eggs, lechatchila, the best place, that was a very quick rain, but the best place to peel the eggs is over the garbage. That's what you're supposed to do. You're not supposed to lechatchila peel the eggs not near the garbage. Because like this, it goes straight into the garbage and then you don't have to remove it. Right? Now, why we don't say that by seeds, we'll get to in a minute. Yeah?
Yeah.
Anyway, so that was what he did. Rav Sheshes, Zaraklu Belishne. This is another makar for spitting seeds, right? Rav Sheshes would throw with his lashon, with his tongue. Right? He spit them away from the table, so therefore it was okay. Right? Rav Papa Zaraklu Achare Amita. Rav Papa threw it behind the bed. Right? Which doesn't mean his bed, it means his chair. He would put his face behind the bed and throw it there. So basically, those were all the options. Yeah?
When they would spit it on the other side of the table. So that works for the guy for him himself, because he doesn't see it anymore. But what about somebody sitting at the other side of the table?
Oh, excellent. So you're mechaven to Rabbi Yashiv. I saw today in the Dirshu Mishna Brura that they in the Siman and Shulchan Aruch that discusses with the pit removal and making a thing. Rabbi Yashiv says nowadays none of these are options. You can't spit the seeds across the room, not if you want to stay married, right? And you can't spit them, turn around and spit them behind your chair, right? So what exactly are you supposed to do with them? So therefore he says you can spit them on the table and then you remove them.
You spit them at your brother.
They could do that too, but that's if the ladies are not around, right? Right? But saying if you have any normal semblance of things, so you can't do that. So that's why Rabbi Yashiv, they call Rabbi Yashiv, and I forgot, maybe Rishon Zalman also, Rabbi Yashiv, I don't remember, for sure Rabbi Yashiv, that nowadays you don't have any of these options, so therefore you are allowed to spit the seeds on the table and then move them, right? So Agav,
why can't
why
can't be a normal person put them in a cup?
Even so, the cup becomes muktza.
Yeah, but it doesn't become muktza. If you're able to move them, then you're
not allowed to
put seeds in it.
You're not allowed to.
You're not allowed to clean up the seeds.
Unless the only heter to clean up the seeds from the table is if it's a graf shorei, because it's disgusting. You want to clean your table.
So then maybe people shouldn't eat these foods that make them look like animals on Shabbos.
That's
a different story. But
what's more disgusting than a cup full of spit-filled seeds?
True, it is, right, but that's what we have to come on to that heter, right? There were 7 options here. The Gemara brings 7 options. One of them was that because it's disgusting, you could remove it, right? The other options were to spit it behind the table, spit it behind the bed, all that, right? So Rabbi Yashiv is saying you got to rely on the one that says that it's considered disgusting and you can remove it. And that, yes, that's.
But what I'm asking,
let's say it's a bunch of yeshiva guys that go away for Shabbos upstate. Yeah, they could care less if they hold the tables full of seeds. It's for them. It's not a graf shorei. If anything, it's considered beautiful, right? They got cigarette butts from Friday afternoon sitting on the table. They got seeds. They could care less. I don't think they have a heter to remove the seeds on Shabbos. I really don't think so.
And pistachio shells? Those aren't disgusting. Pistachio shells aren't disgusting.
But they're not usable for anything.
Right, so the muktza. How do you clean it up?
And they are muktza. So, but you know what? The most practical this is.
By the way.
I'm asking the practicality. You don't put that in your mouth. You break it before you put it in your mouth. You can't sit there and say it's disgusting. So how do you clean up if you go to a Shalom Zachar? How do you clean up the pistachio?
Shalom Zachar is a big issue.
So why are we allowed to eat these things if they're causing us problems?
You're supposed to eat arbis and not
by
your Shalom Zachar.
Yeah, you're right. Right. Maybe that's taka why it's.
Eat arbis. Why are you eating peanuts?
Maybe that's taka why
during Corona, nobody can
arbis.
stick their hand in the arbis anymore.
Right. Maybe that's why, Matt. Maybe that's why you eat arbis because it has no shells. Maybe. No, but you're right.
From what you're saying, you can't.
You're saying you and Jesse are ganging up and say, why should you be able to eat it? That's what you're saying?
Yeah, I'm just saying if it's causing so much problems, we're just saying, listen, anything with a shell, you can't eat. The peanuts
or just prepare it before Shabbos.
Exactly. Eat the shelled ones. Don't eat the ones in the shell.
I hear what you're saying. But Lamaisa, I don't ever heard that you have to restrict certain foods because it's going to become muktza. Now, whether you should peel them over the garbage like the place can say with the eggs, yeah, maybe you should do that. Maybe you should. Anachanami, maybe you should. right?
What about peeling? What about peeling an apple?
So the peels of an apple, I don't think are muktza because lemaisa they're edible. Lemaisa you could eat them. No,
They're actually the healthiest part of the apple.
Yeah, but if you don't want it, isn't it muktza to you?
it would be no, but you still lemaisa you could feed it if something's edible to animals, right? We've been seeing that many times. If it's edible to animals, then it's not going to be muktza, right? So, but the shells and all that are not edible for animals.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. So anyway, so that's that's the practical.
Rabbi.
Yeah, go ahead.
Dr. Abelson points out that the Zechariah ben Avkulis is only mentioned one other time in the Gemara, and that's the case of Kamsa bar Kamsa. He was
Are you serious?
Yeah. So talk about timing. So.
Wow. Very good. What? Okay, I haven't looked at those Gemaras yet, so.
So it's very interesting. It's talk about timing, right?
Right. Very good. What about the word? Somebody might have said that.
Henry Abramson. He's the dean at the
Frank's son said it, but it's off.
Okay, very nice. Very nice. So, 100 look night to fine. Okay, weiter. Next pair.
By the way, my wife just heard this and she goes, "This is why Jews don't clean up in the pizza shops." Hey, she's not wrong, by the way. This is insane talk. You leave a mess. Okay, it's Shabbos, whatever. It's Shabbos. Even more so on Shabbos.
Simon, go eat some roadkill, okay? Relax.
She's not wrong. This is insane. This is insane talk.
Right.
She's not wrong.
No.
One second. Are you allowed to clean up after Shalosh Shudas?
No.
Oh, right.
I'm just saying. So Gary Nim, we're worried about. But what about Shalosh Shudas? Are you allowed to clean up Shalosh Shudas?
By the way,
right.
we just learned not so long ago you can clean up certain things after Shalosh Shudas. By the way, it's not crazy to say you can clean up after it.
Well, it depends if you're really making you nervous, you could do it. If it's really making you nervous, you could do
it. Or someone you might be married to. Yeah.
Yeah, it never made me nervous.
You're in the country and you have all sorts of stuff out, and all of a sudden the mosquitoes and the gnats and the flies, all the stuff come out.
Okay, yeah, Nachman, right? No, that's true. Okay, Zok the Mishna. Chavish and Nishbara, right? So we had this quoted before. So a barrel that got broken, right, and it's oozing out whatever's inside the barrel, usually wine, right? So matzilin amena mazon shalosh sudas. You're allowed to save from it 3 sudas. And then, of course, you invite your friends, and you become generous all of a sudden, and you tell them.
Didn't we have that already?
Yes, we had this quoted, and we said that you can maybe, if you're smart, if the friends are smart, they make some money off of you, right? Right? But as long as you don't absorb it into something, right? Because if you're going to absorb it, then you're going to be over on an isser of schita, right? Then we said, now this next one is mamish, also very practical. You're not allowed to squeeze out fruits in order to take out the liquid. It's important to understand the Hillel because we're going to have 2 blot of a back and forth of a Machlokes. Baruch Hashem, one of them is very short. You don't do tosfos, right? So again, you're not allowed to squeeze out fruit in order to get the liquid out. So orange juice, apple juice, you can't make that on Shabbos. What happens if you have this is very common with, let's say, a fruit salad, right? So you put it on the fruit salad and then it squeezes out by itself. You never squeezed it out. It's also to take it. We'll see in the Gemara why that would be. Rabah Yehuda, if the food is meant to be eaten, then what comes out for it is mutter, right? Meaning it's the type of food that you normally don't squeeze. Then it's gonna be mutter. But if it's the type of fruit that you have for the liquids that come out of it, then it's not. Then you're not allowed to have it, right? So there's a big difference between the two. Rabah Yehuda differentiates between what types of fruits it is, right? Well, actually, the truth is I said a little wrong. It's not so much what type of fruit it is; it's what was your intent to do with the fruit. If your intent was just to eat it, and some liquid comes out, then you could have the liquid. If your intention was to have liquid to make it into, let's say, orange juice, and then some of it seeps out, then that you're not allowed to have, because we're afraid that's what you're going to do. If you have honeycombs that you ground them up in Erev Shabbos, and they're going out, they're still flowing out of there on Shabbos, then they're also Rebbe Elazar Matur. Rebbe Elazar says it's mutter, right? And why does Rebbe Elazar say it's mutter? Because that's not the normal thing. The normal way is that it comes all out right when you chop it up, and therefore we're not afraid that you're going to end up squeezing it. Fine. So Tana, again, we get back into the not Shabbostic category. You should not absorb it with wine, right? You shouldn't take a sponge and absorb the wine, right? Because then we're afraid you're going to squeeze out the wine. And then you can't make your yitvach b'shemen means you can't make your hands wet with oil, so that you shouldn't do it the same way you do it during the week, right? So that, again, this is a notch. The oil thing is not a issue. What's wrong with taking oil, putting it on your hand, and then putting it into a cup, right? Meaning you put the oil on your hand, right? Again, I did something like that tonight. Oil, eggs, all that stuff that was spilled. So you put it on your hand, and if you wanted to save it, you take it, put it on your hand, and then you rub your hand against the cup, and it eventually accumulates. So why can't I do that on Shabbos? What's the issur? The issur is because it's a weekday thing. It's something it's a weekday activity, right? Now this is next halach is it's not well known. Let's say your fruit spilled all over your yard. You can only gather a little bit at a time and eat it. You cannot gather into a basket and not into a box. So you shouldn't do it the way you do it during the weekday. So basically, you're sitting outside on your lawn, you're eating cherries, right? And all the cherries spill all over the lawn. You're not allowed to go gather all those cherries and put them back into the basket, right? Because that's a weekday activity, right? Now there are ways around it in the Achrayim that they say if it's going to be meant to be, if you're not gathering it because you want to pile it up and gather, you're just gathering it so you could re-eat it and all that.
You're saying this was already gathered once,
yeah,
or this is falling off the tree?
No, you already gathered it once, and of course falling off the tree. It could be if it fell off on Shabbos, it's muktza. Right, but even if it fell off the tree from before, it's also not allowed to. But this is even if it was already in a basket, according to most, you're still not allowed to gather it up. So what you have to do is you have to take a piece or two at a time, and then do it. The question is, does that apply inside your house also? Right. So pashtus is it's only in the yard that it looks like a weekday activity, not in your house. Fine. So ain't tzarich a peres. You can't squeeze out peres. Amar Rabbi Yehuda Amar Shmuel. Ma'idai Rabbi Yehuda l'chachamim b'zeisim v'anovim. Rabbi Yehuda is ma'idai l'chachamim by olives and grapes. That anything that seeps out of olives and grapes is an automatic no-no to use the liquid. And this is the way we pass. In my time, since grapes are normally meant for grape juice and wine, and olives is normally meant for oil. So therefore, it's considered, we're afraid that anything that seeps out of it is going to be, is also because we're afraid you're going to end up squeezing it, which might be even an issa d'oraisa. Right? So again, he's moide by olives and by grapes. Yeah?
What does it mean he's moide? That's part of his shita.
No, he's saying, even Rabbi Yehuda is saying, even if you don't plan on making grape juice, and even if you don't plan on making olive oil, afilu hachi says there's a no-go on grapes and olives.
Yohiv date?
What?
That's Yohiv date?
Yeah.
Wow.
He's gonna change his mind. That's Yohiv date. I actually looked it up in the art scroll. Because Yohiv date means I didn't understand what does Yohiv date mean. Right? To give his das, they type it as changing, right? You have the art scroll there? Yohiv date art scroll changes that, it says that they're changing his mind, correct?
Yep. One will often change one's mind upon seeing juice flow from them and will designate for squeezing fruits that were originally stored for eating.
Yeah, that's
Does this change la halacha today? No one does?
I don't know. See, that I don't think so. It doesn't change, but the halacha does change where we're more machmer, which we're going to get to it more on the bottom of the Amid, is that nowadays that every fruit is used for juice. You got pomegranate juice and cantaloupe juice and pineapple juice and everything. Therefore, the halacha actually changes nowadays l'chumra, right? The one thing is called, this is the way we paskin. If you're cutting up grapes, let's say to put into a salad, right, and then there's a little bit of liquid on the bottom of the plate, the place can say but that for sure you're not allowed to have that liquid. You got to spill it out. But the place can say you shouldn't even allow that liquid to accumulate. You should be doing it like either over a sink. I don't know exactly how you do it, to be honest with you, but put it maybe into a plate that absorbs straight in or something like that. But any liquid that comes out of grapes and olives is a no-go.
Can I turn it into like ukhla difference? Can I cut vegetables that juice over sugar or something that I'm going to add to the fruit salad? So it becomes ukhla difference. It gets soaked into the sugar.
That what?
If I put sugar on the chopping board or something like that, so the juice gets soaked into the sugar, is that ukhla difference?
I don't know.
So if I'm making olive dip and I take the olives out of the juice and I want to pour a little olive juice into my dip, I shouldn't.
So that I'm not sure. You see, I'm not sure because our olives come in. That's not the natural juice, right? That the olives are in.
That's not how it's done. When they're picked off the trees, they're left to cure for a little bit, but then they're squeezed out, and whatever oils come out of there, that's the juice they're talking about. By the time that's already brined and all that stuff, the juice is already, the oil's out, basically out of it. So it's already been supplanted with brine and whatever other flavors, pimento and whatever else is there.
Yeah, but if even just a drop of it gets squeezed, becomes usser.
I would assume it's butable rove at that point. It would be buttle somehow. I don't know what the measurement would be.
The olives are not squeezed. They don't squeeze the olives, but they just pit the olives, but they don't squeeze them.
Yeah, but when
right,
it's brine,
that
it's brine, the
juice
salt,
that the olives are in is not.
That's the whole point of salt and brine is effectively curing it or cooking it. So the salt takes the oil out. It might mix in with it.
Yeah, but Simon, if you take all the olives out of that liquid, the liquid tastes like olives. It doesn't just taste like salt water. It has flavor
of
from
course
the
it
olives.
does. That's what I'm saying. It takes it out. It might mix with the brine. That's why the brine is green. When you look at
right. So I think that's what Perek is asking. That he's put it right.
It's different though. When he's making
that's
it's
oil.
already out. I'm assuming it's already. I'm assuming it's already been mevatel by the brine. I mean, I don't know. But
I don't know if does it make a difference though? I mean, in this case, in Perek's case, he wants the juice that's coming out. So now it's just like a sponge. So it's a sponge again. It's not olive oil, but he wants the juice that comes out of it. The problem with seeped.
Yeah, so I'm not sure how to look at it. I don't know.
Also, I think we were just talking.
Anyways, okay, let's see about it. The what?
We were just talking about grapes and olives, meaning like it would have said olives in like a prepared sense, but it would like whatever the word would be here. But because they're looking for the juice that comes out of it, the juice that naturally comes out of it, the liquid that naturally comes out of it, not a brine.
Right. No, that's true. 100%. It's not a brine.
I think you were considered a mushkas back then if you did anything else with olives but make olive oil.
But then it's kosher l'shikha. Whatever.
Yeah.
Anyways, that's one of the heterim. They say that because the Gemara says olives, you forget your Torah. So they say, but if the olives are in olive oil, then not. Yeah. Okay. Let's go back to So that's Ma'ula Amar Rav. Chalakai Rabbi Yehuda af pezei siman avim. Uva says the name of Rav that Rabbi Yehuda disagrees even with Zeisim Vanavim. Rabbi Yochanan Amar, that's the second way of learning the Machlokes. Rabbi Yochanan Amar, halacha Rabbi Yehuda b'shar peiros. Halacha is like Rabbi Yehuda by other peiros, meaning it depends on what you planned on doing with the fruits. Ve'ein halacha Rabbi Yehuda b'Zeisim Vanavim. Halacha is not like Rabbi Yehuda by olives and grapes, which is seemingly the same thing. Amar Rabba, Amar Rabbi Yehuda, Amar Shmuel, Maidai Rabbi Yehuda l'chacham b'Zeisim Vanavim. Rabbi Yehuda agrees by olives and grapes. So Rabbi Yehuda b'shar peiros. And Chacham might Rav Yehuda by other pairs. Amalei Rav Yirmiyah Rabbi Amma. Ela my pligi. So what are they arguing about? Amalei lechi tishkach. Go out and look, find out, find the answer. Some of Rav Nachman by Yitzchak Mistavra betutzim v'rimaynim pligi. Mistama, they're arguing by tutim and reminding. Tut is tut sada is strawberries. But I don't think straight tutzim are. We really remind him in pomegranates. Whatever it is, foods that are somewhere in between olives and grapes and other fruits. The Tani is asim shemashach behen shemen vanam shemashach ben yain. Olives, that oil came out of it, and grapes, that wine came out of it. And you brought them into your house, whether you brought them in to eat or whether you brought them into to make them into liquid. Whatever comes out of it is aser. Tusim shemashach behen Maim, if you have these tusim that water came out of it, it's called water, but it means the liquid that comes out of tusim. And it's interesting, it's calling grape pomegranate juice, it's calling it wine. Right? And you brought them in to eat. What comes out of them is mutter. If you took it out for liquid, and stam, meaning you had no intention, you just brought him into your house, then whatever came out of it is osir. That's what Rav Yehuda says. Whether it's you brought it in for food or for drink, whatever comes out is osir. Right? So therefore, tusim and remind him is going to be the difference between the two. Now the Gemara is going to go on a long kasha on what Rabbi Yehuda holds. Should we stop here, or should we do it?
What are we doing Tisha B'Av?
So I was thinking I have no problem learning Erev Tisha B'Av in the afternoon, doing the daf like 5:30, 6 o'clock. If I don't know what the other wants to do that or not. But I mean, there's a whole shaila in the psik whether you're allowed to learn on Erev Tisha B'Av. If you're allowed, you're allowed to learn Tisha B'Av stuff. But the psik can say that if you're not going to learn anyways.
I thought that shaila was never negated to me.
There you go, right? So no, but that's what the psik can say. If anyways the oilam's not going to be learning, because right, and they'll be able to stop and learn something else, so even real learning, then it's kedai to do it. I believe that's what we should do. I don't know, what does the oilam say?
Works for me.
Two blocks there.
Works for me.
No, so tomorrow night we could do a blot and a half, because the next summit is very short. Right. And then Erev Yom Tov we can hopefully do a blot and a half, and then we'll have Thursday off.
Fine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You don't want to do Thursday night something late after we eat?
We'll see. Let's see how far we get.
You're eating too late based on Aaron Kaplan's mind. It's too late to start learning.
Especially some of the foreign folks finish the Tanis probably a little later.
No, I'm just saying everyone naps in Tisha B'Av at some point, and you're not going to go to sleep.
Maybe
you know what?
I'd rather do it Erev Tisha B'Av.
Yeah, let's see how it goes. We'll see how far we get, and then we'll.
Maybe this is
okay. So I guess we'll stop here.
Jacob, we have to.
By the way, I think Tisha B'Av is the only day that Landau doesn't lay in his bed, so maybe we might want to do it.
Jacob, Fridays are getting much earlier now too.
I know Friday we're gonna have to do. I think what we're gonna have to do is Thursday night. We'll do Thursday night a little more, and then not Friday, and then maybe I was thinking to do a little bit more Thursday night and a shortened Friday. That's what I was thinking. Okay, we'll discuss that.
I'm very religious. I don't want to learn.
No, I'm talking about Stam after this Thursday night, not this Thursday night. After next week start Hashem. So Thursday night a little bit longer like this. The daf on Friday will be 20 minutes, half hour instead as opposed to
You know, back in the day, Tziyakov, it used to be a blot and a half Thursday night, a blot and a half Motzei Shabbos.
We'll go back to that when we're
gonna have to go back. We're gonna have
you read us Hadoros.
That's right. Well, Aliyah's Hadayrus. What do you mean? To learn on a Friday and Motzei Shabbos? That's Aliyah's Hadayrus.
But now we're going backward. Now we're learning on Erev Tisha B'Av.
That's right. That should be the worst thing. Naftali, I give you a bracha. It should be the worst thing that you do.
Naftali, let's see if you log in.
I'm very religious. I can't learn on Erev Tisha B'Av.
Naftali, if you were that religious, when they get up to that Avera, you're doing okay.
Parents, in those days, we also didn't cut off the earlier time zone people on Motzei Shabbos.
Oh. Now it's getting personal.
There you go.
I've never been a proponent of an earlier daf.
Peretz, you hate the early daf.
Anything early by me doesn't count. Where's the doctor? He's still on? No, he left.
All right.
Okay, so what's Lamaisa?
Tomorrow night is the same.
Yeah, see you tomorrow.
We have a whole
Tomorrow
day to
night's
think
the
about
same?
it.
That's what I'm saying. We make it tomorrow night's the same. We make a decision.
Are we doing Rabbi Yehuda's question now, or just doing it tomorrow?
Yaakov,
Tomorrow.
a quick 9 days question. Is he there? We lost him.
We may have lost him.
You can still ask it. You may get a better answer from the rest of the chavra.
We lost him. All right. Peretz, we'll talk to your entertainment later. Oh, yeah. All right.
Thanks, everyone.